Namaskar. Hello and welcome to this very special video from Rethink India Institute. I'm Raghav Mittal, the Director Programs and Research out here. And the entire purpose of this video, this broadcast is to just introduce you about the upcoming Transformational Teachers Tryst 2025, which will be held to commemorate the World Teachers Day. We all have just commemorated the Indian National Teachers Day, but this World Teachers Day has got a very special importance. And just to because this was a day when there was a UN declaration for the rights of the teaching fraternity. We all celebrate the Workers' Day on 1st of May. We all celebrate the UN Service Day on 23rd of June. So similarly, 5th of October is a day when a UN resolution which encapsulated the entire rights and responsibilities of the teaching community per se in a very characteristic fashion. And we at Rethink India Institute have been celebrating and commemorating this very epochal day for quite a while in the name of transformational teachers Tryst. Now, this Tryst word is quite so very unique that we all heard about it from the epochal speech of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru when he addressed the Constituent Assembly on that very historic midnight of 14th of August 1947. We just hear it so long years ago. We made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge, not wholly or in full measure, but very substantially at the stroke of the midnight hour when the world sleeps. India will awake to life and freedom. And interestingly, in 2025, India has really completed her 75 years of the modern republic, and the centenary to this modern republic is just 25 years from now. And the grand vision of the current prime minister, which reverberates somewhere or the other with this romantic aspiration of making a Divya Bhavya Samriddh, Atmanirbhar, Viksit Bharat. We can keep on adding the monikers, the adjectives out there, but the aspiration is all about to make an incredible India into an insurmountable India. And somewhere or the other, we at Rethink India, we feel that out of the academia, industry, and government, the triad, the triumvirate, which constitutes the republic at large, we think that academia, the fifth estate, assumes that characteristic power because the world is moving towards a knowledge economy, and that is where the key and important role of academia comes over there. And we all know that teachers remain the touchstone of any academic institution, and uh, we have to start we have to accelerate the celebration of the institution of teaching. There is a colloquial perception all across that teaching is largely a profession, or under quotes I would say, of compulsion. कुछ नहीं मिला, कहीं कुछ सफलता नहीं प्राप्त हुई, तो शिक्षक बन गए. But mind you, all the developed economies, all the developed countries per se, development not just on the GDP forefront, but on the larger vistas of the overall metric. I think when the intellectuals, when the scholars, when the academicians, they are treated at the top of the pyramid. They are treated with greatest of the great respect, veneration, and also in terms of their perks and privileges and pay scales. Then only a country becomes a great one. And somewhere or the other, to just celebrate this very institution of teachers, because around them the entire academic ecosystem revolves. It is not the buildings at large, it is not the computing laboratories or the all kind of paraphernalia which we stuff it out there with huge capital. No doubt that infrastructure, that physical infrastructure, has its own value, but until or unless there is a lively and a dynamic teacher in the classroom giving out his or her life to those young learners, it is not programming a machine as we are all talking about programming the AI bots, AI agents, all sorts of conversations out there. Teaching is a two-way process. The teacher invokes, enthuses, the teacher provokes. The teacher has in the Upanishad tradition, it used to be a two-way process. And that's where the primacy of teachers at the as the center stay of the entire academic universe lies in over there. And as we also established that without a very vibrant academia in the country, the neo-colonialism which is just coming from other quarters just to make us kind of a nation into a nation of coolies, and again under quotes I would say, devoid of any original thinking, devoid of any aspirations for their civilizational chiti, it would be just impossible. So, just to celebrate and commemorate this very World Teachers Day, we chose a galaxy of 18 odd luminaries from Bharatiya modern life, mascots from the Indian national movement, the Indian Renaissance movement, as we all know about it, call about it. Then some of the real savants who have really invoked the entire institution of teaching per se, the entire academic life for that matter. So, in a country to progress and flourish, I think administrators have to take a back seat, and it is the academicians who have to take the frontal seat over there. So, at the Transformational Teachers Tryst, which is slated to happen, a secret meeting. India has to have a tryst with its academicians, with its teachers. So we want to have a tryst of our teachers with these 18 legendary figures. We at Rethink India really invite, call upon the Honorable Pradhanacharyas to really shortlist some two or three transformational teachers from their entire galaxy of teaching fraternity out of these 18 things, and send them across to this historic tryst, transformational tryst, which we are convening. And the hosting of this transformational teachers tryst is happening at none other than the magnetic, in the mighty magnetic and mystic Himalayas. And what we have chosen, the romantic Ranikhet, because that word tryst is a secret meeting between two, a romantic meeting between two people. So the romance with academia, the romance with teachers, making them as the primordial entities driving the national narrative, the national aspirations, not some administrators or officials. They are the ones to execute that aspiration. It has to all come from our shikshaks, our teachers who are and teaching. And primarily what we are focusing upon is the K-12 level teachers in this transformational teachers tryst. And World Teachers Day celebrated on 5th of October because it was on this very day in 1977 that the ILO, International Labour Organization, and the UNESCO collectively they gave a recommendation concerning the status of teachers. It was in 1966, sorry. And there was a recommendation concerning the status of higher education teaching personnel around 10 years later on. So, this transformational teachers tryst is happening at the Healing Himalayas. We call them healing because the entire life, if you can just smell that Himalayan air for even 24, 48, 72 hours, I think that brings about a transformational nature. We go to all kind of therapies out there. So the mighty, majestic, mystic Himalayas, they really have that sway and swell. It helps to rejuvenate and repurpose the entire purpose of whatever we are doing. And invoking the teachers once a year in this format is something which will go a long way in the collective vision of creating Divya Bhavya Samriddha Bharat. So I would just come on and uh, so it has been celebrated since 1994. It commemorated the adoption of 1966 ILO UNESCO recommendation concerning the status of teachers, primarily the K-12 ones. And it is held annually on 5th of October to celebrate all teachers around the globe. And in this today's hyper connected global world, it makes a lot of sense that we get inspired from a global vision as to how we can catapult the national progress in a global context, and at a time when so much of turmoil, so much of aggression, so much of acrimony is happening across. Perhaps academia is somewhere best suited. The teacher to teacher connect, the civilizational aspirations, they are the ones who can really put it all into a context, how technology has evolved, so how technology can be deployed for the collective human welfare. There is no other agency than the teachers per se, because they are the nurturers of those very young saplings, the children, the future of any nation state for that matter. And it commemorates the anniversary of the adoption of the 1966 UNESCO ILO recommendation concerning the status of teachers, which sets benchmarks regarding the rights and responsibilities of teachers and standards for their initial preparation and further education. It's a landmark document, and Rethink India has encapsulated it all very well. I would just put it the link in the video. It is rethinkindia.org/status of teachers continuous. You can read out that very elaborate document as to how the UNESCO and ILO people have really worked hard around, like, so back in the day, the rights and responsibilities of teachers, uh, about their recruitment, their employment, and teaching and learning conditions. So, World Teachers' Day has been celebrated since 1994. So, the recommendation concerning the status of higher education teaching personnel was adopted in 1997 uh, to complement the 1966 recommendation by covering teaching personnel in higher education. So, the higher education teaching personnel we are commemorating, we are cheering on yet another day, which will be the 11th of December, just to keep a focus between the teaching community at the K-12 level, which is a different focus, and then the higher education people having a different focus. And it's a day to celebrate how teachers are transforming, but also to reflect on the support they need to fully deploy their talent and vocation, and to rethink the way ahead for the profession globally. So, somewhere or the other, the underlying aspiration is that the top cerebrum of the country, the top intellect of the country, should choose the profession of teaching as a choice rather than making it a profession of compulsion. That is something, a paradigm shift is perhaps required in the Republic of India. If really, because India has had been a Vishwaguru owing to the veneration which we put on our acharyas, our gurus, our teachers. The adjectives are all different, but the tattva is the same. And World Teachers Day is co-convened in partnership with the International Labour Organization, UNICEF, and Educational International. So this is the basic context of World Teachers Day, which falls on 5th of October. And this year, so very interesting that from 2nd October, it's the Shera, and also the national holiday of 2nd October, Mahatma Gandhi's Janma Jayanti. So the teachers, the transformational teachers, can be given a break, a kind of a mid-semester break by the honorable Pradhanacharyas, whom we will be inviting separately at the progressive principals plenum just the very next month in November. But the teachers, the select teachers, they need to be given that primacy, a push, that, oh, we really acknowledge and recognize their contribution, and just go and re-energize, re-galvanize, repurpose yourself in the Himalayan locales at the Transformational Teachers Tryst. I would just give you a quick run through of what we have in store and what the challenge we are throwing to all of you in the name of the galaxy of savants whom we have handpicked, and their vision of education, and education in the Bharatiya context, because think globally and act locally remains the buzzword, and every civilization has its or her own chiti. We are not saying that we should learn from all across, ano bhadra krato yantu vishwataha, but at the same time, our germination, our core genesis, our core anchoring has to be in our own self. And then when we grow, we can also pick and choose, cherry pick here and there. We learn from all over. But then, until or unless the baseline is our own, It doesn't help it out. So Sri Aurobindo and Mother, the two legends, we all know about their integral yoga, their great grand works, and at Rethink India Institute, our motto, it comes from Sri Aurobindo's vision himself. So so, so in the name of Sri Aurobindo and Mother, we have curated from their teachings a very elaborate framework. So, in order to be qualified as a transformational teachers in these one of these 18 categories, there is a first step of pre-registration where the honorable principal, he or she chooses, he registers, okay, or puts out his or her testimony for that particular teacher whom they wish to acknowledge and at this forum. And then they will get an elaborate framework which probably the nominated teacher would fill in, and the honorable principal can just glance through, because on his or her own authority, the editorial board at Rethink India would be accepting the same. So the ideal teacher testimony, it's a very elaborate framework, around 87 facets of being an ideal teacher in the eyes of, in the yogic eyes of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. And it really covers the entire gamut of teaching per se. So it's very interesting deep dive. And while filling up these frameworks, these are not just for external expositions. These frameworks, what we have curated with a lot of pain, a lot of effort, a lot of research, and trying to make it an executable spirit. Because somewhere or the other in our parampara, we have found that there is a lot of pontification. No, it doesn't work until or unless it comes at a self reflection. So these transformational teachers framework, all the 18 of them, are all very, very self reflective. So whatever 10, 20, 30 hours you might be putting up spread across, say, a week or so, because that more than that, the spirit dies down. So wherever your principle testifies you, okay, you are suited for this very category, I see that spark in you, so let's give that authority, let's give that precedence to the honorable principal. Okay, this is where I want you to be acknowledged as a transformational teacher. And then it comes to your own deep dive into that framework, mapping up your whole career as a teacher, reflecting it across, contrasting it across, and then filling it out. It's more of an internalizing exercise. We are just the curators, we are just a platform. But then the real transformation will truly happen when you really go through those frameworks, and when that acknowledgement comes in those divine Himalayan settings. I think that is the outcome of it all. And there a repurposing would happen. The yogic repurposing would really happen in a phenomenal fashion. So this is Sri Aurobindo and Mother, not very much to explain, but a very, very beautiful, elaborate, very deep dive framework for those who are philosophical, who are really at the top of the curve, top of the league, and those who have really a deep passion, those who really chose teaching. Some cobwebs here and there, Sri Aurobindo, Sri Mother, it's in an executable fashion. So each of the questions when you will be answering, it's a great learning and internalizing and transformative exercise. स्वराज मेरा जन्म सिद्ध अधिकार है और मैं उसे लेकर ही रखूंगा. Swaraj has taken a different dimension altogether in this 21st century, and especially in the year 2025, when the global trade wars are being fought here and there, the geostrategic compact is transforming. So somewhere or the other, the very instrument of education, what Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak chose to raise that national consciousness through education. So we would really like to present this very category of transformational teachers. It's a testimony for nurturing Bharatiya nationalist education. There are so many dimensions. At the top political level, bureaucratic level, a lot of things are happening, but we at Rethink India feel that the real transformation of the country happens one classroom at a time, because that's where in the formal structure the nation is being invoked, the future of the nation is being invoked. So how these teachers who are chosen in this category, so this is again a septet of Tilak, what we have put across. So how practically in that particular geo cultural locale, geo-economic locale, we can say, so that that very transformational teacher has really worked for the Bharatiya nationalist education, because यथा पिंडे तथा ब्रह्मांडे. So whatever happens in that particular geocultural locale's classroom, a student comes from a particular economic background, how he or she can invoke the newer instruments of resistance. For example, is the teacher really promoting the use of Indian national sovereign fintech apps like Bheem, developed by NPCI, or any of the nationalized banks of State Bank of India, Punjab National Bank? So, using technology as the first frontier, are we using our Swadeshi fintech apps for our day-to-day needs? There might be some glitch here and there, but let's not get trapped by the foreign products per se. That can be the first layer of invocation. I'm just giving some of the examples which can be filled in out here. Or even if you aspire to do that, we at Rethink India believe in that wisdom of the Nobel Peace Committee when they bestowed upon the Nobel Peace Prize on the US President Barack Obama, when he's just taken over the seats of that power. Even the aspirations, even the promise of that teacher, because it's a very dynamic condition, we are ready to acknowledge and recognize, because thinking in that direction, provoking and invoking the thinking, that is the core of it all. And in this age of AI, information gathering is not teaching at all. It is the information processing, associating, appreciating, and applying in variegated context. I think that is what will be the transformational role of the future teachers of the day. So in this category, all kind of nationalistic intervention, or adopt the local bakery, whatever we can get locally, let's support the community commerce for that matter, because today's war is not, yes, there are wars using if all the arsenals and all the bombs and all kind of things, but primarily they are driven by economics, and across history it has happened because of that. So, on the economic forefront, how can our geo-cultural locales can be catalyzed? How can that economic development, that 5 trillion economy, how it can be made Swadeshi in the first? Because Swaraj cannot come without Swadeshi. We just give up. We just saw, witness the kind of turmoil which is happening in our neighboring countries, from Sri Lanka to Bangladesh, now in Nepal. So until unless we really treasure our own Swadeshi economics, Swaraj is not going to stay for long. And Swadeshi is the vital element for Swaraj to happen. Why can't we adopt some of our local apparels, local foods? Let's have variety, let's innovate out there. So we leave it to you, because teachers are the brainy ones, they are the ones, spirited ones. The platform is just to give them an invocation that how they can express themselves out there. Uh, this is an age of convergence. The fourth industrial revolution has just touched us. It's being talked about that all technologies have converged together to create a fourth industrial revolution. But somewhere or the other, at the Rethink India Institute, we call it more as the fifth industrial revolution. And we call it five, we read five as a S, and we call it sthir. Because in this VUCA age, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, there is a lot of turmoil out there. How this turmoil can be translated into sthirta? And those people who will bring the sthirta, they have to be polymaths. They cannot be a unidimensional, colonized education. They have to be interdisciplinarity, multidisciplinarity, and transdisciplinarity. And that's where Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore comes into play, who was a polymath in his own right. And Tagore was a poet, writer, playwright, composer, philosopher, social reformer, and painter. The list goes on and on. So the future children have to become polymaths, and we really want to felicitate those very teachers, those very transformational teachers who are actually creating, who are nurturing polymaths of the future. And the cult of specialization that is widespread in our society leaves most people unfulfilled and frustrated. And today, with the advent of technology, a single person, if he is initiated properly, I think he or she can really complete the full circle and become a polymath and deliver much more value. Because in the age of technology, we are talking about a lot of job losses. The corporate structures of singularity are crumbling in a big way. We all know about it. So we want to bring this to the contemporary discourse, that the future students have to be polymaths, and without the transformational teachers who are nurturing the polymaths, it's not possible. It's not going to be possible. Then we come to the Doyen, the Vidya Sagar, the ocean of knowledge. Very coincidentally, the NEP day, 29th of July, happens to be Vidya Sagar ji's Punyatithi. And so we are commemorating in his name the 22 principles of the new education policy, how those very transformational teachers have invoked those very principles in their individual teaching paradigm. At the end of the day, any national education policy has to distill down at the institutional education policy or programs. It has to be encapsulated down there, and eventually at the institution level, it eventually boils down as to how an individual teachers take those very principles in his or her own innovative, ingenious, industrious method, and that's what NEP provides ample framework for. So this part of the transformational teachers is dedicated on the forefront of NEP. Principals can choose those teachers who have done phenomenal work on the NEP deployment, and there is no badhyata of putting up long submissions into all the 22 principles. But then, yes, we expect at least a 50% plus to really get qualified for this transformational teachers kind of a testimony, which we want to present it across in the name of these 18 legends whom we have very meticulously handpicked, and we will be presenting to you. Moving forward, this is the year 2025, and the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh, founded by Dr. Keshav Baliram Hedgewar ji, is completing a centenary. And across the world, there is no such organization which has invoked a very peaceful strengthening of the civilization. This is a institution of lakhs and crores of Swayam Sevaks who have got spirited a kind of a very open source kind of organization which just inspires people to dedicate and devote themselves to the Rashtra Chintan. So the mascot of it all, Dr. Keshav Balaram Hedgewarji just founded it across in the pre-independence era. But then it was Guru Golwalkar ji, Madhav Sadashiv Golwalkar ji, who really laid out its foundation, and then he was popularly known as Guru. So we just felt to dedicate the title of Guru to this modern mascot who represents that civilization chiti of being a Guru. So we expand it as grand undertakers of the Rashtriya upliftment, and it's quite a philosophical category. Guru Golwalkar tribute 2025, because he talked about Rashtray Swaha, Idam Rashtray, Idam. He talked about the collective life. So individually we are all working, but then the spirit of fixing yourself into the larger national edifice is something that is what Guru Golwalkar ji represented. And how this spirit, and in Bharat there is no person who is called a guru. There is a guru tattva in each one of them, and what that guru tattva, the invocation of it all, and it can be in each one of us if we just encapsulate it all. So nirapeksha atma vishwas, the self confidence which is comparisonless. I don't want to be compared. I'm an anchor in myself. That is what the quality I need to persist. It is beyond individualism. While it is comparisonless, but then it is beyond individualism, and it doesn't fluctuate whether I go to a 5 star, 7 star, or I reach to a student who comes from a very humble background. So that is the core of it all. Then anchored in sthiti, we talked about sthirta, but sthiti, which is stable, unchanging, intrinsic, unseen, intangible, and being. You will find the elaborate framework, and then you have to reflect upon, do some searches, use Grok, use Chat GPT, because these are the treasure troves which are one step or multiple steps ahead of the search engines. So search engines, Google used to give us hundreds of web pages, but then what these AI engines, chatbots, they bring it across, they encapsulate the key terms and give a decent enough content to work upon. So, and then we have to reflect also. And then contrasting, a guru has to be contrasting discrimination in a very positive session, मीनिंग विज विज वर्ड. हम शब्दों का प्रयोग तो बहुत करते हैं, पर क्या हम उस अर्थ को जानते हैं, हम उस अर्थ को स्वयं में समझ पाते हैं? एंड दिस इज क्वाइट एन एक्सपीरियंशियल थिंग ओनली. Knowledge versus information, as I said, that loads of information, AI is nothing but artificial information intelligence, but then a human mind has to generate his or her own knowledge and then wisdom, the higher level. We rather than I, from individual to the larger cosmic consciousness, and getting inspired or getting influenced. Are we getting influenced or are we getting inspired? Because being inspired means I will use that as an abstract inspiration and deploy it in my own way, in my own chiti, in my own nirapeksha atma vishwas. So making sense of the word from the Indic paradigm. So this is a very philosophical framework, but a lot of transformation teachers in the past have really come forward to really give it a try, because that makes us truly it invokes us, it challenges us. Oh, if we are in this profession, if we are, what kind of a work we are doing of are we the grand undertakers of rashtriya upliftment? That is very, very important. Moving forward, a very modern savant who chose after his entire international education a project Swadesh story, and who nurtured a very initial sapling in Vanasthali University, which is an educational township in Rajasthan. We have dedicated. We lost Professor Aditya Shastri to COVID early on, and we want to say he is a true mascot of the entire moniker of being a futuristic faculty. Dr. Shastri used to say that the world today needs youth imbibing the universal human values of truth, love, and compassion, holding the spirit of inclusion, embracing the ones who have fallen down, being sensitive to the environment around, youth who promote harmony and word peace, youth who are good human beings. To me, the means to this end is education for all, particularly the disadvantaged. So, it's a 12 faceted framework of being a futuristic faculty named after Aditya Shastri ji. At Rethink India, we have been running something called FPAT. So it's based on the same. We have rededicated the FPAT to this modern legend who was trained at MIT, but then chose to return back, and he curated a phenomenal futuristic campus of Banasthali University out there. So futuristic learning, augmenting human intelligence, and coping with VUCA. So these are the savants. So if you are a futuristic faculty, you have those 12 odd facets in you, or you want to inculcate them. We said that even if you want to aspire for, you have to just get hooked on, and then the process of transformation starts by its own. It's not that it's an event, you have to be that. You might be somewhere in between, starting, middle, or towards the fulfillment, because in India we say that moksha, the fulfillment, is a lifelong process. So we want to, at whatever stage you are, if you aspire to be a futuristic faculty, you're most welcome to be nominated in this category. Ah, at Rethink India, we talk about a pentat of, and that is the order of futuristic learning, that we learn a lot. Sahitya, Sangeet, Kala Vihinaha, Sakshat, Manushya, Pashu Prachhinaha. That is the Subhashitani, which our Sanskrit teachers have been teaching us for long. Ki bina Sahitya, Sangeet or Kala ke. So, the modern education, if we see from a different lens, different paradigm, at Rethink India, when we had convened our Re-Engineering India Summit at Singapore, at one of the Singaporean university, a 40-year-old doyen of MIT School of Engineering, Thomas Magnati Sahab, he said that future would be all about product, services, and platforms. So arts, like STEM has become STEAM. So without the arts, performing arts, all sorts of arts, visual arts. So this category is dedicated to one legendary personality in Madam Manjushri Khaitan, uh, who whom we lost early on again, just last year on 16th of May, at a very, very young age. She's the daughter of, again, the legendary, she comes from the legendary Birla family. So she established a large number of schools, education institutions, and her focus had been more on arts as the medium of education, because so so educators who are using art educators, who are really doing a transformational service in innovative aspects, I think they are most welcome. If you have to do industrial design, you have to have an artist within you. Like we talk about Jeff Bezos. He said, "No, I'm not creating a computer. Computing is fine. That's the engineering side of it all. I'm creating an art." So the entire I family, the most valuable corporation in the whole world, the Apple, is an art company largely, and then technology is supporting that art. So beauty, art, all those aspects of the, because this is what human consciousness appreciates. And somewhere or the other, despite whatever AI tools in creating machine driven art, the human art, so that amalgamation, if at all you are doing, recognizing the centrality of art in the educational sphere, in the classroom. You might be a science teacher, you might be a mathematics teacher. Even being a mathematics teacher, if you have the acknowledgement, appreciation, and application of the artistic motives with mathematical formula presents, you're most welcome to nominate in this category. Again, sports, and this has been named after the legendary Major Dhyan Chand, where the foreigners had to break his stick. Hockey, stick to say, oh, there is some magnet out there. So sports enhance health, character, leadership, academic performance, and social life. So it's for the sports teacher also, primarily for them, if they are really invoking, apart from the dynamics of that particular sport, if they are also intellectualizing that and bringing it back to these values which are very otherwise very tough. These are sport centric values. So and it is also open for the teachers of other disciplines. So this is all these categories are discipline agnostic. You might be a biology teacher but then a sports enthusiast, so you can teach biology from a sports perspective. You might be a management educator and might be bringing management from a sports perspective. So this is what Major Dhyanchand Sports Shikshak Samman for the transformational teachers would be out there. The motive of edu films. Films is a medium of education. So we have named him, dedicated it again to one of the legendary filmmakers of the country, Sham Benikal Benediction, for entertaining education through films. Because a classroom has to be made lively. Can we use some of the inspiration from one film, the other film, and reignite the vision, the imagination of the educators? So that is something. You might be again a teacher of any discipline, but if you are using films as a medium of education and making education entertaining, because we can see for long hours the OTT platforms, the reels and things like that, because they are entertaining. This is a challenge on the teachers of future, that can we make our classrooms really entertaining. So this if you are this category is for you. Again, news, the contemporary affairs, as we say, that war, government, politics, education, health, economic, all disciplines actually converge into the contemporary affairs. And news is a phenomenal instrument of futuristic education. We have dedicated this very component again to yet another very enigmatic journalistic personality who was loved by all for his feisty and very lively, I would say, interactions with the audience, Vinodua Sahab. So, eclectic education, if you are providing, you might be teaching a textbook, but whatever context comes, if you can correlate that context to a contemporary happening, I think you are made for Vinodua decoration, for eclectic education through news, new information about current events, because that makes education of any discipline contemporary, practical, lively out there. एंड सो वो कहते हैं कि जितना आपको कक्षा नहीं सिखाती उतना आपको एक ट्रैवल सिखाता है. एंड वी हैव डेडिकेटेड इट टू वन giant, another towering giant. Very little is known about him, but Mahapandit, he was back in his day recognized as Mahapandit Rahul Sanskritayan, and he is known to be the father of Hindi travel literature. एंड टीचिंग थ्रू ट्रैवल, आप कोई एक्सकर्शन पे, टीचिंग पे, अलग अलग संस्कृतियों से जुड़ाव करने का अगर आपको पैशन है, इफ़ यू आर अ टीचर हु टीचेस थ्रू ट्रैवल, दिस सम्मान is for you. And Sanskritain, he played a vital role in giving Hindi travelogue a literary form. Even you might be promoting your students to write travelogues of their own. That is something, a facet which we would really like to recognize at the Transformational Teachers Tryst. So, so these were the five elements of edu sports, edu news, edu arts, edu sojourns, so and so forth. Now space is coming in a big way. धरती को छोड़कर हम ब्रह्मांड की ओर अभिगमन कर रहे हैं. एंड देन इंडियन नेशनल स्पेस डे, एंड देन विक्रम साराभाई His birthday is commemorated on 12th August, which is the International Youth Day as well. So we want faculty who are space shikshaks, जो कि विस्तार, space is again a motive for infinitum. So this is a very lovely framework for those who can expand and expound more for interdisciplinary teachers. PCM, you might be a teacher of physics, but then if you have inroads, you can teach atomic models from a chemistry perspective also. You can give pointers to the students, because at the end of the day a student is someone who has to converge all the knowledge in his own head. So if you are a interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary, जो अननोन अननोन्स हैं या नोन अननोन्स हैं, if you have that kind of a philosophical verb, I think Vikram's Ambalal Sarabhai Space Shikshik Samman is for you, for those transformational teachers who want to explore on and on the newer and the vast vistas of it all. So this is to promote that exploratory nature amidst our transformational teachers. A lot of talk is happening about electoral bungling in the country, and a lot of challenges are happening, because the backbone of any democracy is elections, the free and fair elections out there, and someone who can be who resonates with India is the largest democracy on the planet, and we have conducted phenomenal, with whatever inefficiencies, but fairly decent level of elections. And one person who comes is Mr. T. N. Sheshan. And somewhere or the other, we feel that if India has to become a Divya Bhavya Samradh, Atmanirbhar Viksit Bharat, our democracy has to get strengthened over and over again. And democracy not around a person per se, not around a personality, but institutional democracy. A CAG is questioning the expenditure of a government objectively, not driven from any vested interest. A CEC, for that matter, Chief Election Commissioner, or for that matter, they say that there are five C's in the country, then the CBI, which is investigating any wrongdoing for that matter. So a balance of power which is brought across. So we have, so every transformational teacher has to have somewhere or the other an electoral thought process. Whom to vote is not the point, but what to vote for, what are the issues, what are the challenges at the local level. We have a three-tier democracy. We have the local elections, we have then the middle level, the regional, the Vidhan Sabha level elections, and then the national elections. So whatever discipline of teacher we are, do we have that electoral consciousness? It is all inspired by the sweep of the Election Commission of India, which is systematic voters education and electoral participation. So if we can have a kind of a, we do a lot of quizzes around celebrities in the cinema world, cricket world, so and so forth, but do we really promote that kind of a research and objective one? And thanks to information technology at our palm tops, now with mobiles equally powerful than, I would say, than computers of the yore, I think this is a culture which empowering electoral educators, informing and illumining issues, inspiring an argumentative democracy, replete with integrity and accountability. So this is something which we really wish to promote amidst the students. There is nothing to, the ballot might be a secret one. Whom I voted, that is like the rain precipitates after the clouds condense or the snowfall comes in. But then the entire process of evaporation from the seas, from whatever area the sun god, he vaporizes the water. So that process should go also go on in the classroom. So ideological leanings are different. India is a multi-spectral democracy. We just cannot have one ideology, the left wing or the right wing. India is complete, it's a dharmic wing, left and right in whatever proportions of our own individual choices. And it should be an argumentative democracy. It should not be a coercive democracy. Let facts talk about it. And the more we talk, the more we argue in a non-violent, in a deliberative fashion, I think that improves our own learning. We can have contest. You might be having contest, okay, fight out with grok. Keep on pushing your questions, counter questions, questions over questions, and create your own opinion, informed ones, rather than getting blindly parasitized or like the Matrix movie, the machines are engulfing you. All know the human consciousness has to come forth. So this is Rethink India runs a forum for enlightened electorate based on facts. at the constituency level. If a ward member is there, so the granularity is at your ward. Are my municipal services working well? Is the trifurcation of the garbage is happening properly or not? What are my instruments of agitation? I can write a grievance to the local CM portal or to the CP grams for that matter. So this is democracy in action for the entire duration of 60 months for which we elect a representative body. It just doesn't end at the electoral booth alone. That is just a cyclical process. Every 5 years the examinations are happening, but then constant continuous evaluation has to be done by the enlightened electorate, and that exists in every classroom. Because the moment we cross a primary educational level, we all get conversant about, and we don't have to touch the official level of franchisee, the 18-year barrier, because the moment civics education comes into place, I think you are qualified for being an enlightened electorate. Though you will get that license to vote at a later stage when you will qualify it. But this award is for the electoral educators. Any educator who has that consciousness, devoid of party affiliations. That is, again, it is apolitical. It is more about the choice of the political party or the candidate. It is personal. That is what our constitution guarantees. It's an individual vote. But somewhere or the other, that within the fray, available fray, and what should be the qualities of a candidate for the matter, who should contest, who can serve better, that kind of deliberations are all out there, and the framework is very involving, very deep. So you will really find a lot of ideas also to implement in your classrooms going forward. Uh, Truly, this is a big research, and we have been doing this 23 traits of transformational teachers. You might be having all of them in varied capacities. You might be a learner teacher, you might be a collector, curator, alchemist. There are a lot of distinctions out there, and we have named it after the legendary turning point fame Professor Ishpal, who was the former chairperson of the UGC as well. So the nominees have to testify their variegated, I would say, presence into these 23 frameworks. This is quite a paradigm in its own way. You would really find it interesting if you really want to apply in this. Again, I would say there's a lot of debate in the national consciousness about teaching and coaching, and I would say Olympics without a coach, in the sports world at least, nobody can work without a coach. So coaching is not that a negative word. A coach is a very focused kind of a person जो कि broadness को बहुत ही focus लाके, and a very personalized kind of a thing. The CEOs of Fortune 500 companies or the others, they have personal coaches. So coaching is not a negative word. And one person, if India's might in the global arena is largely because of the alumnus of its Indian Institutes of Technology, of which I too am a proud member of. I think Vinod Kumar Bansal sir happens to be one doyen who transformed that classroom teaching into the schools to a really rigorous teaching for the competitive examinations, where the percentage of success, like the Olympics, is quite very less. And so you might be a teacher of any subject, but then if you can, because teaching is a wide spectrum education, you are putting up the philosophical foundations in a phenomenal way, then you are giving a larger kind of a framework. But then if you are also able to funnel and channelize your knowledge to specific examinations, because coaching is like for targeted outcomes. So I think this category is for you, and we at Rethink India feel that instead of students using schools as proxy ones, if the teachers per se, if the science teachers, if the language teachers, all discipline of teachers are available, and every discipline has got competitive examinations. So if you have that focus also, leave apart the commercial dimensions of it all. They can always be worked out in the institutional context. But after the school hours itself, in the comfort of the school, the student is already there. Or maybe you juxtapose your classroom work in such a fashion, your whole timetable across the 6 days. Okay, this is a focused competition hour. So no apartheid are kind of an integral part. Okay, this is the larger subject I am teaching. But now this period is primarily focused कि भाई इसका जो application part है वो एलसेट में कैसे आएगा, या वो आईआईटी जेई में कैसे आएगा, या वो नीट में इसी बात का, इसी बायोलॉजी का क्वेश्चन कैसे पूछेंगे, या फॉर दैट मैटर सीए फाउंडेशन के एग्जाम में कैसे ये सिखाया जाएगा. Any discipline or any convergence, I think we want to promote our transformational teachers as competition coaches, and we have named it after the very lovely, very venerable Vinod Kumar Bansal sir, who really chose this profession of coaching. Is a he We all know his story that he was a very dynamic engineer, but then some disease crippled his legs, and then he went into a state of depression. But he said, no, I have my knowledge, let's me trans so he created the coaching industry, we say. So there is nothing wrong in any industry for that matter. And thousands, and I think lakhs and lakhs of future engineers. He was a primarily a teacher of maths, but then his mesmerizing way of engaging the students is something which we really want to acknowledge. So even if whatever discipline you are a teacher of, but if your focus is towards coaching the students for any competition for that matter, you're most welcome for this category. This is another very interesting giant. This is Coimbatore Krishna Rao Prahalad Prashasti for furthering strategic educational management, furthering the mission and vision of Viksit Bharat 2047. So CK Prahalad Sahab was a doyen academic of India who completed his doctoral in a record 2.5 years at the Harvard Business School. He went to IIM Ahmedabad, a topper all through. But then his heart for India always reverberated, and he was the one who wrote the Vision uh, India at 60 campaign, and so on and so forth. So he was a doyen of strategic management. So in our Shikshan Sansthans, when we say Sansthan, even the management is largely governed by the teachers. So teachers, apart, one dimension is technology. The teachers have to really imbibe technology. We have not put a very specific category for technology, which is in the usual parlance, because you can always pick up. You might be a Hindi teacher, Langtech is out there, voice to text, technology, everyone has to adopt, every discipline. Similarly, management is again one another discipline, and not just management, it's strategic management. Now, what is the strategic management? Strategy is about stretching limited resources to fit ambitious aspirations. And the biggest complaint or biggest grievance which we tend to hear कि time बहुत कम है and we are overloaded. So I think that is where Coimbatore, Krishna Rao, Prahalad comes into play, that use the tools and technologies of strategic educational management to stuff it all. Like for example, we said you might be a faculty of biology and you might train or coach some students for the NEET examinations. Now you will say we don't have the time. Time is a limited resource. So deploy this paradigm of educational strategic educational management in tandem with the other stakeholders and create a value out of it. So it's a multi-sectoral, multi stakeholder kind of a approach. So the essence of strategy lies in creating tomorrow's competitive advantage faster than competitors can mimic the ones you possess today. There is a large number of edtech corporations coming through which say, oh, we will record something here, we will then disseminate it like a movie, and many of their deca unicorn status has gone down, they have gone bankrupt, so and so forth. So every model has been tried out, but the centrality of a teacher in a classroom, it just cannot be removed. And the kind of timelines, the kind of workload which is out there in the schools, it makes a lot of sense that all teachers have to embark upon this journey of strategic educational management. Across our engagements, we keep on listening to phenomenal, innovative, and ingenious ideas which our transformational teachers are producing. So executives are constrained not by resources but by their imagination. So this is somewhere the ingenious, innovative, what kind of things you have really brought about at a systemic level. कि अगर आप स्पोर्ट्स के टीचर हैं तो आपने कैसे स्पोर्ट्स को ही स्ट्रैटेजिक एजुकेशनल मैनेजमेंट के माध्यम से मैग्नीफाई कर दिया. आपका अपना पैशन, बिकॉज institution is like a complete sphere. Not a principal is at the central core that coordinating it across, but the individual growth has to be taken by the teachers, by the transformational teachers. So this category is for those. Teachers are warriors. They are edu warriors, and we started this during the COVID period itself. And this is for those teachers, honorable principals can focus upon, who exhibit the soldier like qualities. They unleash sthirta, stability, and innovation. In the post COVID 19 VUCA world, the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity is a given thing. We have to accept it across and tread like a soldier. So, there is a category of teachers all across who are soldier like: confidence, strength, aggressiveness, discipline, proactive approach, bravery, self awareness, patience, humility, loyalty, honesty, and loving nature. So, we have named it after the most lovable Sam Bahadur Sahab. So, all those teachers whom, transformational teachers whom you feel they exhibit these qualities, they are most welcome to be part of it. I've touched upon quite a lot, little. Now, this is the modern Masiha, we can say so. He was the chairperson of the National Education Policy Committee, and we had the great good fortune of felicitating Dr. Krishna Swami Kasturi Rangan ji while on the NEP, where NEP was released in that early time. And this is for the tenacious teachers. We have instituted this category, and because nothing but tenacity is what determines Kasturi Rangan Sahab. And this tenacity, it is based out of, again, what we said, the World Teachers Day core, the ILO recommendation concerning the status of teachers, and then the recommendation concerning the status of higher education teaching personnel. So it's a very elaborate, worthy document. So we have culled out the core roles and responsibilities, and tenacity, we have described it from that UN document and dedicated it to Kasturi Rangan Saab. So those very teachers who have displayed tenacity in the larger colloquial sense, I think honorable principals can testify them in this lovely category out here. And finally, this is a teacher's oath which we circulated on the Indian National Teachers Day. This is a clause series teacher's oath. So we would be signing it en masse. There's a parallel activity which is also going out where we've asked upon the schools to really give this, that this is the kind of oath, this is the kind of responsibility which teachers have on themselves. Because in Bharatiya Adhishtan, we say that if we put our responsibility first, our rights, the Rita, the rights would be safeguarded in some way or the other. And platforms like ours and many others, they are batting and battling for the preeminent status of our teaching community, our fraternity out there. So with this, this is the entire gamut of transformational teachers which we wish to felicitate, which we wish to venerate on this World Teachers Day. And just giving you an idea as to what document got declared, let me just show it also across to you, the status of teachers document. So, so this was the recommendation which was adopted in 1966 on 5th of October, and around which this World Teachers Day is commemorated largely. So you can see this is a whole document which we have. So this is the link, you can browse through it all just for your academic. So all kind of definitions which comes into educational objectives and policies. It is a fundamental right of every child to be provided with the fullest possible educational opportunities, educational objectives and policies. Uh, so you can see, so it's 196 slide document, but a lovable one. So this was adopted. This was the declaration. This was the raison d'etre, that 5th October uh, since 1994. UN takes a little while that it is declared as the World Teachers Day, the status of teachers, their pay, perks. So on this transformational teachers trace, we are also inviting a lot of educational attaches from the various advanced countries across the different parts of the globe. It's not just the American or the European, Australian, Middle East, Israeli, Chinese. Now our ties with the Chinese world, Southeast Asian, Japanese, Singapore. We are trying to have a convergence of the best practices all across. But the whole idea is to support, it's to cherish the very institution of teachers. If we ask, if we conduct a kind of a survey within our schools, I think I want to become a teacher should be a kind of a first choice, or in the first three choices, not to become an IS officer or not to become a kind of a AI program, because a teacher encapsulates all vidhas, being, as we said, the 23 traits of a transformational teacher. So I think this has become a bit of a longer video, but it gives you the context and the perspective as to what Rethink India Institute intends to achieve. And like the 18 adhyayas of the Bhagavad Gita, these 18 personalities from the yesteryears, immediate and futuristic ones, all these mascots, they somewhere stand for that very aspiration and that very adulation of transformational teachers. So we invite you all. Dr. Surbhi would be in touch with you to nominate at least three out of these 18, three transformational teachers from your campus, not more. Pick out the best ones where you have an institutional focus as well, because investing in the teachers doesn't go, it pays, it reaps immense benefits. And why we have chosen it to be the Regal Rani Khet, it is because this is the only place in the entire country, perhaps in the entire 13 Himalayan states. Rethink India Institute also celebrated the Himalaya Divas just on 9th of September. 270-degree Himalayas are visible, and October is a month where clouds would have gone, monsoon would have receded, and we would be having a visual view of it all. But the moment you climb up the hills from Corbat, you all would be coming from Delhi, or you would be taking a Shatabdi, or you would be climbing up. So primarily you will be feeling the magnetic presence of the mighty Himalayas. So why the yogis of the yore came over there. And today when we are recording, it's 9/11/2025. It was a day when Swami Vivekananda gave his Chicago, the world famous Chicago speech, the sisters and brothers of America, and he talked about the Indian tolerance of it all. So tolerance comes from that enlightenment, and that enlightenment is something which our acharyas, which are teachers, which are gurus, they grant us. So with this, I think we have set out enough context for that. And for more questions, you can ping Dr. Surbhi on 9910050597. And the link at which this entire is rethinkindia.org/transformational teachers. There are various sorts of channels you can just search and plug in. So, with open hands, we really invite you to the Manas Khand. The Kumaung Hills are also known as the Manas Khand. So, Mansarovar going out is a tougher proposition, but for a Manas Manthan, Manas Khand is truly the face where you can self-reflect. The transformational teachers, as we I said, that all these frameworks are extremely self-reflective in nature. They really rekindle that spirit कि मैं क्यों टीचर बना या मैं क्यों टीचर बनी, and the prominence of being a teacher. At the Rethink India Institute parlance, we say that the fifth estate is the first, foundational, and the foremost estate, which gives rise to the other estates who actually work under the fifth estate. So the primacy of a professor, the primacy of a teacher, I think that is what we intend to celebrate, commemorate, and proliferate. So with this, namaskar. We shall stay tuned. Thank you. Namaskar.